And welcome to another Golf Today, a breaking news Golf Today. Shane Bacon with Damon Hack. And Damon, a big announcement today in the golf world, an exciting announcement. I think one you and I are both very much on board with. The USGA has announced that Mike Whan has been named its new CEO starting summer of 2021. He becomes the 8th top executive in the USGA's history. Last month, Whan announced his intention to step down as the Lpga commissioner sometime in 2021. And a look through his impressive career in and around the golf world. You see the CEO latest job title for Mike Whan, longest tenured Lpga commissioner. Tournaments increased under his leadership from 24 events in 2010 to 34 events scheduled in 2021. Has done an unbelievable job with the Lpga, and we are excited to see what Mike Whan will do with the USGA.
And we are pleased to be joined by Mike Whan, the new CEO of the USGA, and Stu Francis, the president of the USGA. Gentlemen, thank you for your time. Mike, how did this opportunity come about?
Well, I got a phone call. Stu and I talked about late November of last year, kind of just a one-off phone conversation. And actually, it's one of those things where I asked myself, if I'm still thinking about this a couple of days from now, then I'm probably onto something. I had called my board chair actually before I even had the conversation with Stu and said, the fact that I'm even interested in having the conversation tells me it's time. I had one conversation with the selection committee December-ish. But at the time, when I announced that I was leaving the Lpga, I'd had a conversation with the selection committee. I'd had a conversation with some other opportunities too, but I certainly didn't feel like I was a candidate or deep on any process. And then things just really picked up in late January and early February, and we came to terms on this last week.
Well, Mike, let's get right into it. The distance report, of course, continues to make headlines. What are your plans right out of the gate on how to handle distance in terms of the professional side?
Well, I think, you know me, Shane. I mean, I wasn't blessed with a lot of patience, so I got to be careful with my desire to just want to get to the solution. I know I have a lot of listening and learning to do. I know as much about the distance project as I've read and that Mike Davis and others have given me, but I really haven't been deep into it. So I look forward to getting deep into it. One of the things I do know is I think one of the things that makes golf special is the hundreds of millions of dollars spent on R&D to create excitement and innovation, get players excited, fans excited. And we certainly don't want to be the USGA that puts this big damper on all that and kills innovation. So I spent enough time on the equipment side to know that whatever standards are set, whatever changes in standards come about, the next morning, 1,000 engineers will wake up and figure out how to push the envelope within those new standards. And quite frankly, the game needs that, wants that. It's what makes us exciting. I've said this before. Other sports don't have that. They don't have metallurgists coming from other companies and trying to figure out how to go faster, swing easier, play the game better. So and I think golf is special that way, that there's always something to get excited about. So we're going to keep the excitement in the game. We're going to make sure that the best athletes can still separate themselves from others. And at the same time, try to protect the game for the next 100 years. So the simple answer to your question is, Shane, I think on day one, if I answered that question, shame on me, because I really do have to figure out and listen first. But I look forward to the people I'll do it with. The David Ableys and the Chip Brewers and John Solheim's of the world. They're friends of mine. I look forward to working with them. And I look forward to working, with the RNA. I mean, the good news for me is that the people I'll work with I already know and trust. The bad news is I probably don't bring any expertise in the beginning, but most of them who know me know that I haven't brought a lot of expertise in the first place. So it'll be fun to get together with that team and solve some of these challenges, both for the game and for the future of the game.
Well, Mike, one thing you did very well at the Lpga was really articulate a vision. You wanted to bring big-time events to that tour. How would you describe your vision for the USGA?
It's funny, Damon, when I walked into the Lpga in 2010, I had these 10 points on a sheet. I've never shared those 10 points because 100 days in, I realized 5 of them were so wrong, they were actually embarrassing. But, you sort of walk in with a leader and you have all these ideas and here's what we're going to go do. I have 7 written down of things I think are going to be the important parts of Mike Whan's tenure. But I also know that 100 days in, I'll probably change 4 of the 7. But I would tell you that I believe that we will definitely reinvest and continue to invest in the best championships in the game, whether we're talking about juniors, amateur, pro level. I believe that I'm a guy that respects history, but not afraid to make a little history as well. So I think you got to respect and appreciate how you got here, but you can't be afraid to set a path that'll separate you going forward. I have this thing I always keep on my desk that says, go farther, not faster. There's an old proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. My gut reaction, you guys know me, is to go fast, but I really want to go far. So to go far, I really have to be a leader in a huddle. I got to bring the industry together. I've said this many times. I'm not good at that many things, and you guys know that because you know me. But I'm pretty good at building strategic alliances. And if you look what's worked at the LPGA in my 11 years, almost every big accomplishment came because somebody else came to the party and helped us. PGA Tour TV rights, USGA on girls golf, PGA of America on the women's PGA championship, RNA getting involved with the women's British. These are big moments that happened because other people grabbed the rope with me and pulled over the finish line. And I think that's what my strength is. And I'm looking forward at the USGA to forming the alliances so golf can get better. We don't have to always have the answers, but we have to partner with the people that can and make sure that together we make golf better, not just one-off making golf better. And I look forward to working with the people that I've worked with already to in a new role at the USGA. I feel comfortable in the world of strategic alliances, and that's what I hope to bring at the USGA.
Stu, I can only imagine the answer is very, but how excited is the USGA to have Mike now a part of the team?
Well, there's no question. Very is an appropriate word, but I think Mike is well known to the USGA team. We've enjoyed working with him in the Women's Open. Mike Davis had Mike Whan come present to the executive committee of the USGA about 4 years ago when we had a meeting in Washington, D.C. And I distinctly remember after that presentation saying to myself, I know Mike Davis has told me the USGA won't be his last job. He has a dream of golf course architecture. But if things change, Mike Whan is certainly an attractive person to take a hard look at. And, the excitement he brings to anything is extraordinary. Every time I'm going to make a phone call with him, I'm totally looking forward to the phone call, but I always know I have to up my game just because he's got so many good ideas. The respect he has in the golf community is spectacular. And, just watching him again today, we had a town hall for the USGA about an hour ago, and the level of enthusiasm, the questions that came back were extraordinary. It's going to be a very exciting period, and I'm happy to be along for in the front row seat.
Well, Mike, we know you have a great relationship with everybody at the LPGA Tour, but there is a perception going around that some of the top-ranked PGA Tour players' relationship with the USGA could use some mending. What is something you'd want to work on to get everybody on the same page in terms of the PGA Tour?
Well, I would just say when we're talking about something like championships, they're the customer. I believe in a two-word philosophy called role reversal, which is when we're thinking about these big important things, think about who the customer is and live in their world for a while. And that's kind of what I lived with at the LPGA. I used to say to our team, why would we work this hard if the players won't be proud of the output? So listen, I don't know that everybody's going to love every day and every shot they hit at a US Open. But I want to make sure that they appreciate the fact that when they walked onto that stage, it's one of the greatest stages in golf, an opportunity for them to showcase their talent. I know, because I've been around this for 11 years, I know how hard it is to make it to this level. It's unbelievable, the commitment. I talk all the time to 24-year-old women that have so much more perseverance and talent and self-discipline than I do now, certainly not when I was 24. So it's hard not to walk away and say, I'm going to give them the best stage I can possibly give them. And I don't feel that's any different when I'm talking about a male, female, amateur, junior. To me, at least as a kid growing up around this game, cutting greens, changing pins, caddying, or working at equipment companies, I view USA Championships as the best in the game. And we're going to make sure that we not only deliver that, but grow that in the years ahead. I can't really tell you what job 2 is, but I can tell you that's job 1.
Stu, the best players in the world, even if they're, a small percentage of the game, they do carry a lot of weight. They do have a loud voice. So a similar question that Shane posed to Mike, do you feel like there needs to be some mending, some better communication between the USGA and the elite player?
Well, I think, look, we have conducted US Open, which is the premier championship for, 125 years. But, there are cycles you go through where things do happen. We play an outdoor sport. So we do think that we need to do the best job we possibly can to give them the stage to compete at their best. I'd liken it to the intense pressure you have when you're playing in a USGA championship is unlike anything else. And from our standpoint, we want to be able to put the player in a place where they can really perform at their best. And so we do think, and I guess our commitment to the players is we're going to do our absolute best to give you the showcase. And if that means we've got to do a little bit better on certain things, we'll do that. And, I think, when we brought John Bodenhammer brought Jason Gore in as head of player relations, he was a Walker Cup player. He led into the final round of the U.S. Open at Pinehurst. And I think Jason has been particularly adept with his team in giving us the insights to what's important to the players, what do they want, how can we be most effective in conducting a championship that they really appreciate. And this is another giant step on the journey to have Mike Whan join us. So I think judge us by our actions, but I think we're committed to getting to the right place with every tour player.
Well, Mike, what's the most important thing you want to bring from your 11-year tenure at the Lpga to the USGA?
I don't know if I can nail it down to one, Damon, and that won't come as a shock to you because you know me. But I've got a few things written down on a piece of paper, and I'm just thinking about, just to Shane's question, I said invest in the best has got to be the top of the list. I mean, how do we, in 1985, how was the U.S. Open compared to a regular tour stop? How was the U.S. Women's Open? How was an amateur? And let's make sure that gap in terms of there versus getting to a U.S. Open, what it feels like, what it's like, the impact is at least as much as it was then. In fact, we're growing that each year. I've got something on a piece of paper written, respect history, ... but don't be afraid to make some. I revere the fact that the USGA has done this for a long time and done it well. But I also am not afraid to, to make some changes. As my father used to say, celebrate your mistakes. Just don't make the same one again next year. Because if you're not making mistakes, you're not trying. So we'll make mistakes. I just said to the team at the USGA, here's the bad news. Mike Whan will make more mistakes than Mike Davis did. I know that because I know Mike Davis, and he's a friend, and he's smarter than me. But we're going to probably take bigger swings and make bigger mistakes, but we just won't make the same mistake the second time. And that's where learning comes from. I'm taking this job because I'm really uncomfortable. I mean, this makes me nervous. I know I got a lot to learn. I can't walk in and be the expert on day one. And my wife thinks that is the craziest philosophy in the world, but I need first tee jitters to play my best. And, when I walked into the Lpga in late 2009, I was nervous. I read the articles, who's Mike Whan and why did they hire him? I'm sure there'll be plenty of articles going, what does Mike Whan bring to the USGA? What expertise level does he bring? I'm fine with that. They're right. And that'll be my job to prove those articles wrong. But that's what I get excited about. To me, when the learning curve gets flat, as my wife said to me the other day, I knew a year and a half ago we were moving. I just didn't know where because I could tell that you just weren't waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning and writing things on the pad next to your bed. So I'm excited about this because of all the things I don't know. And I'm sure a lot of people will talk about those things as I'll think about them. But that's the fun part, is uncovering the whole new you and bringing, I know the end of this, the USGA is going to be some mixture of Mike Whan and what it was before we got there. I don't know what that final mixture will be, but I'll be better. And I hope they'll be better when we get to that final mix.
Stu, what is something you are hoping to see evolve with the USGA under Mike over the next 5 and 10 years?
Well, I think he's articulated it well. I think we want the USGA championships at all levels to be absolutely the premier championship that a player competes in. We want to have the best golf courses. We want them to be in the best condition. We want the facilities and the support to be superb. And we want the pressure to be there that's uniquely related to winning a USGA championship, and the goal of, in terms of all the qualifiers we have, the goal of qualifying for a USGA championship to be one that tons of golfers can aspire to. We firmly commit to keeping the US Open open. We have 75 plus qualifying slots every year, and each one of us on the TV today could sign up and try to qualify for the U.S. Open. And I know, Shane, you've made some USGA events. I've made some USGA events. It's the thrill of a lifetime for a golfer. And we want to enhance that, and I think we can do it, along with, I guess the other point I'd make is the USGA wants to lead the game together with the other major organizations in the game. We view this as a collaborative effort. Somebody does have to lead the way, and we're prepared to do that. But we want to go together with everyone else. And I think Mike's going to be uniquely capable of doing that. And it's one of the myriad of reasons why we're excited he's joining as CEO. You can see I'm smiling because this is going to be a lot of fun, and I'm going to get out of the way.
Folks, take a look at the USGA CEO responsibilities, leading all operational aspects, core functions, essential programs, human and financial resources as well. The CEO also represents the USGA on a variety of national and international boards.